Hi there. Welcome to Apple World I did this discussion about he need receipts. We should begin with your mom. Your mom got the receipts thing is in your mom. Name that as the person who got the receipt. I'm be straightforward with all of you, and I don't have any idea what his mom's name is yet assuming all of you notice how mothered she meanders him, she remains by like the gushing spouse that she needed to resemble a ton of individuals of color with their children attending. On of a great deal of these youthful dark guys pull off this stuff on the grounds that their mom was permitted them to do it. You all not Mase emerging to uncover that Diddy's own mom purportedly acquainted him with freak-offs as a youngster. You all Mase is keeping his foot immovably on Diddy's neck. And he isn't moving at all. He isn't coming here to mess about, and he brought some hard proof, so it seems as though Diddy has another thing to remember on the grounds that Mase is not going to let it go. Oh, at any point in the near future, Reese he dead and every other person you might sign desk, work so they can't discuss what I'm referring to. I'm the only one with the guts you're not sign it, I need the cash, so it seems as though Mama isn't exactly done at this point talking on Diddy since he just emerged to uncover Diddy as well as Diddy's mom now. For the most significant length of time, individuals have been pondering exactly how could he wound up how he resembles. Listen, the claims that have been made against him are awful to such an extent that it sort of makes us shudder to try and consider it, yet that is not all, since a fourth lady emerged to uncover Diddy and his companions of purportedly saying her when she was only a youngster. She documented a claim against him with her legal counselors, expressing explicitly in 2003 when she was just 17 years of age and in 11th grade. Miss Doe was sex dealt and pack tried by Mr. Combs, Mr. Pierre, and the third assailant. The law had a ton of comments about the terrible things that Diddy and his partners supposedly did to Jane Doe on the day that the occurrence happened. The report said when she was only a young person, Miss Doe met Mr. Pierre in the third of a sing in a parlor in the Detroit, Michigan region. While at the parlor, Mr. Pierre demanded that he be his closest companion with Mr. Combs and, surprisingly, called Mr. Combs with Miss Doe. Mr. Combs persuaded Miss Doe, who was a portion of his age, at an opportunity to go with Mr. Pierre and a third EST assailant on a personal luxury plane to come to his studio in New York City before they left for the personal luxury plane. Mr. Pierre smoked and broke cocaine in a restroom at the parlor, in which he likewise savaged Miss Doe by compelling her to give him oral activity. The claim likewise described how Diddy and his partners purportedly expressed themselves while at the studio. Miss Doe was asked by Mr. Combs, the third assailant, and Mr. Pierre in a specific order. Mr. Combs then watched on as a third assailant, who Miss D had not even acknowledged had started as a Miss Doe, as she advised him to stop after the third assailant was done. Mr. Pierre proceeded and afterward constrained her to give him moral activity, during which Miss Doe was stifling and attempting to inhale. The claim likewise said that when Mr. Pierre completed, he let Miss Doe into the restroom. Miss Doe fell into a fetal position and lay on the floor. Her privates were in torment at long last after a time frame. Miss Doe recovered her course anyway. She could scarcely stand up and had to be assisted with leaving the structure and back into a vehicle. She was returned to an air terminal and flown back to Michigan anyway. She has an exceptionally restricted memory of her vehicle home and was just in her vehicle at some point promptly in the first part of the day. Okay, so you all, is it just me, or does this remind you all of the oddities that he constrained on Cassie? Purportedly. Cassie's claims carefully described how bent Diddy treated her and how he constrained her into freak-offs. And he never checked with her or ensured that she was all right with these oddity-offs. He just proceeded with it at any rate as per the claim. The initial time Mr. Combs employed a man and got the man to his home in Los Angeles. The man, Mr. Combs, and Miss Venter wore a disguise veil and ingested drugs. Mr. Combs coordinated with Miss Venter to perform private demonstrations with this man. While Mr. Combs watched them, he got off to it while he coordinated Miss Venter and the man to do an explicit, close demonstration. The whole experience endured for numerous days. Mr. Combs started to call the game plan an oddity off or foe. He would more than once tell Miss Venter at irregular minutes that he needed a foe. And Miss Adventure was ultimately expected to work with the area and the recruiting of male escorts. Yet you all know that is not all, since Diddy additionally used to drive her to utilize drugs before the oddity offs, she said. Mr. Combs generally supplies misventure and the escort with cop measures of forewarning during the misventure was given exco GB and liquor, and inordinate sums during foes, which permitted her to disassociate during these terrible experiences. It became normal spot to get IV liquids in the days. After a foe to recuperate from the extreme substances pushed upon her misventure was expected to spruce up in lingerie for a foo, and Mr. Combs demanded she weared white nail clean to balance her nails with the skin of the people of color he recruited to get physically involved with her presently. You all remember that part about this white nail clean since we will return to that in a piece currently. Like I said, 4 ladies altogether have approached to blame him for supposedly trying them in the wake of tranquilizing them, and it's sort of dreadful that he purportedly did likewise to every one of them. The claims are playing awful, and they have individuals thinking about what precisely turned out badly with Diddy to make him supposedly into this sort of individual now. At first there were reports that because doing this was on the grounds that he was purportedly tried by Clive Davis and Andre Harrell when he was getting everything rolling in the business presently. I'm not certain if you all realize this yet. Did he get it going as an assistant at Uptown Records under the mentorship of Andre Harrell? Did he worked intimately with Andre, who was guided by Clive Davis, and there are presently reports that Andre supposedly papered Diddy and prepared him while working for him. Now there were reports that Diddy was supposedly Andre's Don Juan while they were together, and Andre was thus purportedly associated with Clive Davis of Chief of Columbia Records, Arista Records, and quite possibly of the greatest name in music, definitely him. Well, Clyde terminated Andre, and afterward, he assisted Diddy with setting up Terrible Kid Records, which was somewhat abnormal in light of the fact that Andre was effective while Diddy was just an understudy. I mean, the one significant music occasion that he'd had coordinated prompted 9 passings. So why in the world would Clive even settle on that choice? Well, this is where Panther entered that visit with answers, and she uncovered that Andre had been Clive's Don Juan. My concentrate right now is seeing Combs. Okay, explain to us why, since he's a sex dealer and he's utilizing music and diversion to sex traffic. Presently will be this fair young men, young ladies, grown-ups. Kids, like, I mean, from what I've heard from sources that I would consider dependable, it truly doesn't make any difference. Wow. I don't think sexuality has anything to do with orientation right now for Scene. I sincerely believe he's simply an outrageous egomaniac who loves power and cherishes the capacity to control individuals. Undoubtedly, on the grounds that he was defrauded by his tutor, who wanted to control individuals, and his coach was Ander. Well, tell us how guided by Clive Davis now. Jay additionally said this, and don't let me know that Andre Harrell got moved by Clive Davis. Also, I'm letting you know I don't have any idea what occurred among Andre and Clive. What I can be sure of is that Andre got disregarded. Like, how would you go from being the leader of Uptown and losing your whole organization to your understudy? Like, little guy began as an understudy. So for some time, there we believed that Clive and Andre were supposedly the explanation that Diddy turned out the manner in which he did, yet for reasons unknown. And Tranquil, as is kept it, was at that point this way prior to getting into the business. So it's ridiculous to fault Andre and Clyde for it. Well, essentially not every last bit of it, since his previous craftsman Mase is presently emerging to guarantee that the primary explanation that Diddy is how he is a result of his mom. Now Mase and Diddy have had hamburger since Mase left Terrible Kid Records in the mid-2000s and made some terrible pursues each open door he kept. And to talk on his problem with Diddy and how Diddy was never been a hero that he professes to be, and most certainly not sibling love. Mase has helped resentment what resembles over 20 years, and truly it's difficult to fault him for not being Diddy's most ardent follower, since he generally guaranteed that he never got compensated for the work that he accomplished for Diddy while he was marked a terrible kid. He likewise guaranteed that he repetitioned most the Diddy's WS at that point, yet he didn't get compensated for that either, nor did he get kudos for it. However, that is not all, since he likewise guaranteed that after he left Terrible Kid Records, Diddy supposedly approached defaming him in the business and made it unimaginable for him to get one more marked arrangement, and that makes sense of why Mase was always unable to get endorsed subsequent to leaving Awful Kid. He at absolutely no point ever worked in that sort of industry in the future, in spite of being really skilled. Well, did he would have done without Mase talking on him.